What would you think if I told you that there are over 141 million daily active users on LinkedIn, making it a top platform for career growth, and spending just 30 minutes a day can open new career opportunities for you in a matter of weeks? Sounds impossible, right? Welcome to the DesignRush podcast. I'm your host, Bianca Mayer, and today our guest, Luke Matthews, shares his proven strategies for using AI and humor to enhance your personal brand and engagement.
It's understanding what AI can help you with. Say you're spending 30 to 45 minutes writing a post, you can cut that way down to 10, 15 minutes within a couple weeks. To me, that's a very good use of AI.
Join us as Luke shares how his nomadic childhood shaped him into a remote career-driven adult, mastering social platforms for success.
I came to LinkedIn from Instagram, where on Instagram, everything was very crafted. So the brands that I worked with on Instagram, it wasn't personal at all. My approach to LinkedIn was just, I'm actually not trying to portray anything except just my words and what I write. And for me as a writer, that worked really well.
Today's conversation covers what's needed to jumpstart your personal brand. But more than that, it's a conversation about how far your passion and healthy work ethic can take you to surpassing your goals.
For me, burnout doesn't exist. I just don't believe in it. So if I don't believe in it, then I can't get it. I just learned, work is what you do when you want to make more money and do more than your friends. So you just kind of learn, hey, if I want to go do things in this world, I'm gonna have to work and put more hours in.
Stay to the end of this episode to learn through Luke's experiences, where he even discusses the dark underbelly of being a social media influencer. Remember to like and subscribe to keep up with all of our future conversations with industry leaders. Let's get started. Luke, a very warm welcome to the DesignRush podcast again. It is so awesome having you here with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on today.
Of course. Okay, so Luke, as I explained to you a little bit earlier, I'd love to just dig into who Luke Matthews is, okay? So I know that you work remotely from Paraguay at the moment, right? And I also, from seeing some of your videos, I know you hardly speak the language and stuff like that there. So I'm wondering, why this lifestyle for you?
It's a great question. So I don't hardly speak the language. I literally don't speak Spanish. I'm unfortunately, one of those Canadians that did not learn French or Spanish. So no Spanish. It's kind of a long story how I got there. But essentially, I've been working remote since 2016 and have bounced around Southeast Asia, spent almost 4 years in the UK. My visa was running out, and went, you know what? The only continent I haven't really explored was South America. So, hey, when you work on the computer, why not? It's a really easy residency to get in Paraguay. So, managed to set it up in just a couple weeks. And yeah, I moved there. I'd never been to South America. Yeah, it's just because it was an easy residency. And I thought, hey, why not? Let's try this.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. But I do wonder though, why be on the move? You know, what is the appeal to you for working remotely in sort of like a nomadic kind of lifestyle?
It's a great question. I think some of us are wired that way. I've basically always been on the move. My parents moved us around basically every year of my childhood, so it kind of became ingrained in who I am. They would buy and flip houses. So I remember going to new schools all the time, joining new sports teams, and kind of building this muscle of being the new guy and having to fit in, and you kind of learn to enjoy it. And so maybe I was just traumatized enough as a kid that it became ingrained in who I am, and I just kept it going. But I kind of love the challenge of starting over and meeting new people. And so I think when you're traveling, you're constantly forcing yourself out of your comfort zone. You meet new people, you try new things, and it forces your brain to look at things a certain way. So I found for me, it just works for the kind of life that I want to live, the way that I want to think, the kind of business that I have currently.
Yeah, 100%. You know, I really relate to that because I'm South African and I've lived in various places in Europe as well. I'm currently living in Portugal, and you know, it's really challenging to put yourself completely in a new place where you don't necessarily know people, you don't really know the languages and all of that, and you kind of, especially when you do it alone, you have to really learn how to navigate these different avenues and get to know different people and really place yourself out of your comfort zone completely each and every time. So my follow-up question to that is, what has this taught you about working with different people and businesses, would you say?
So I would say for this trip, the funny thing is, it hasn't taught me a lot about that, except that with an online business, I would say it's taught me that I don't need that, which may be a bit of an extreme statement. Like, I love AI, kind of spinning into AI, for the reason that I chose not to scale my team. I run a ghostwriting agency on LinkedIn. I've ran it since 2020, early 2020. And I've tried a couple times to scale teams, to train writers and do that kind of thing. And I realized it's just not really for me. Like, I really enjoy doing the work. I like writing. I like actually talking to the founders and doing that. Whereas scaling, as you know, it's more about admin, organizing teams, leadership. So when I figured that out, lucky enough for me, AI started becoming a big deal. And I realized, like, well, if I just learn AI, then I don't actually need a team. I just can talk to robots all day. So I essentially moved to Paraguay to go, hey, I'm actually going into monk mode. And I basically didn't talk to anybody. I spent most of last year in Paraguay, like I said, not speaking the language and not learning it on purpose, because I actually just wanted to learn AI and go into my business. So I would say for me, during this period of my life, I kind of went the opposite. I went, how much can I do just with AI and me on my computer by myself? And I realized for me, the answer is a lot. And that's the crazy part, I think, about solopreneurship and AI. You really can build an entire business by yourself with some robots. And on the flip side, also, obviously, if you want to build a big team, use AI to help you get there, you can too. It just depends on your use case.
I have to ask though, what is this, you going over to Paraguay, choosing not to really speak the language, really focusing on AI and your business and what you want to do. What is some of the things or surprising things that you've really learned about yourself throughout this process, would you say?
I think it's a great question. No one's asked me that yet. I think the most important thing I learned, again, like I really can do what I want to do. And I think you test yourself enough in this life and you kind of gain some confidence. But if you don't keep testing yourself, you don't know, like, can I really do that again now? Or is that just something I did when I was 20? I'm 39. And so I like to keep testing myself. And so I think I got a deeper level of confidence going, no, I still got this. I can still go to a new country by myself, not know anybody, test myself and complete my goals. So I think at its core, that's what it was about for me. It's like, can I accomplish something when I have no excuses? Because I eliminated all my excuses. There was no parties to go to or distractions or friends or family or anything. It was just kind of me versus me. And so I think I loved that. And I would say I learned a deeper appreciation for just challenging myself and cutting all the excuses out. And I kind of realized, like, I'd been making excuses about my business or even working on myself. I actually dropped 30 pounds and went carnivore and got really into fitness when I moved as well. And so I just realized a few layers of, I've been distracting myself with excuses. And when I kind of stripped that all away by moving to Paraguay and being by myself, I had to face those things. So I think it was both business and my personal life. It definitely benefited.
Let me tell you something, Luke. That sounds brave as hell. I really don't think that a lot of people have that in them to really take themselves out of their comfort zone and really place themselves in a place where they really need to look at themselves and then adjust their lives, for the better and stuff. So I commend you for that. I think that's incredible to be able to do that. I didn't know that about you, actually.
Well,
So
thank you. Yeah, no, I share a lot on LinkedIn, but on everything apparently.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
We're getting to know the real Luke now as well, so that's all good. Okay, so I just want to speaking of LinkedIn, I want to get more to that and your personal brand and stuff. But firstly, I have to ask, or I have to say, I know that you're one of the most charismatic and funny and memorable voices on LinkedIn. So apart from, moving around and all of that throughout your life, I wonder where does that personality stem from?
It's a great question. My sarcastic answer is always experience enough fucking trauma that it messes with all the funniest people are all fucked in the head. Apologies for the language, but I think a lot of those kind of experiences, you either become a victim or you learn to laugh at the things that happen to you in life. And so I think I learned at a young age to just laugh. And me and my cousins were this way. My cousins have the most messed up sense of humor, stuff I can't talk about here. We laughed at everything you're not supposed to laugh at. And that was our thing. We had this kind of harsh culture of like, whenever I'd see them, we just rip each other. And then that was our way of loving each other. I always joke, my sixth love language is sarcasm. And so I think, from a young age, just that, and watching, the only shows I ever watched were like Mad TV or Family Guy or South Park or The Simpsons. I think you just like train your brain to think a certain way. And I never wanted to do like the business world or normal corporate. Like I was a trades guy, so I worked in construction, built homes, like, and just the mindset and the attitude there is so different than all the startup founders I talk to now in B2B and corporate. And so I think I have a weird combo, I guess, of all these different worlds coming together. And I think the only thing that connects with everybody is humor, and even with truth telling, I think really the only way to tell the truth nowadays is through humor. And so I kind of figured that out because I am a bit of a truth teller, and I realized like I can connect with people if I learn how to make them laugh first. So I would say it's humor. Humor connects people, and especially online, if you want to share your message at scale, humor is a great way to do it, and not many people do it on LinkedIn. So
No, they don't. It's super stuffy over there sometimes. Well, most of the time at least, unless you know who to follow, right? And who you're
That's
keeping
true.
an eye on and stuff. So you've spoken about this quite often as well, is where you've said that LinkedIn is one of the most fruitful places for people that want to scale their business or build their personal brand to go to at the moment. And I just think that looking at the way that LinkedIn has been for the last few years, again, really stuffy, and people are so straightforward and all of that, it's become so uniform. So it's really refreshing to see voices such as yours kind of break through that and do something different, and how it actually leads to much bigger success, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think current LinkedIn, it's hard again. It's weird. When I first came, it's very much the way it was now, or is now, which is a little bit more stuffy. And then I think during COVID, everyone was sitting at home and we had our personal lives and business lives kind of mixed together. And so there was this window of time where LinkedIn became very personal and it was accepted. And so I think I was a bit fortunate in that that's when I really started going hard on LinkedIn, was during the COVID years. And so I benefited from that because I'm very unprofessional in everything that I do. I think if I started now or back in the day, I would have struggled to build an audience on LinkedIn because the algorithms don't really favor it anymore. Whereas during COVID, they really did. Like, people were on the platform to connect, and they wanted more than just, here's 5 ways to, scale your B2B SaaS in an infographic. So
I have to say, with regards to how you've built your community and stuff on LinkedIn and how you've scaled, from what I know or understand of how you built it, you basically treated it like it was a part-time job. And from what it seems like, you still basically do that. I know that you worked construction as well, and then you'd get home and you'd work another 4 hours on LinkedIn and your side business, and then basically your whole weekends and stuff. So I have to ask, how did you not burn out from that?
it's a great question. I always joke around that for me, burnout doesn't exist. I just don't believe in it. So if I don't believe in it, then I can't get it. Sounds like Tate kind of stuff, but I mean, I do kind of buy into that. I just think that I grew up learning how to work. My mom was an entrepreneur. She had multiple businesses. So I started basically my teen years working after school for the landscape construction company. And so I think I just learned, like, work is what you do when you want to make more money and do more than your friends, because I was able to travel before my friends. I was able to buy what I want because I was working, and I realized that they had to go ask their parents. I didn't, because I had money. And so I liked that. So you just kind of learn, hey, if I want to go do things in this world, I'm going to have to work and put more hours in. So yeah, I started out on Instagram in 2016 while working in construction. Took 3.5 years or so to go full time into social media. And then when I actually went into LinkedIn in 2020, I wasn't in construction anymore, so it was my full-time gig at that point, and I would spend hours a day on the platform during COVID. But 2020, 2021, I was on 8 to 10 hours or more a day, building it the slow way, just hanging out with people, talking in the DMs, doing calls, doing meme battles in Discord and Slack, all the stuff that no one wants to do.
Well, it kind of seems like it could be fun as well.
It was then. I don't know if I could redo it, but yeah.
Okay, so on this note as well, how or what was it about social media that really made you fall in love with it and know that this is what you want to spend the majority of your day on?
It's a great question. So I started out just wanting to not do construction anymore because I'm in Canada and it's cold in the winter. It's either pouring rain on the west coast, or if you're a couple provinces inward, which I was, it's snowing for 6 months and -20. So you can imagine building homes in snow and -20 and sitting in your car huddled over a heat vent. Eventually, as your bones get old, you're like, yeah, I need to do something else. I need to get out of this. So I was just trying a few different things. And then my partner at the time was really good at photography and videography. And so she started posting on Instagram, and it started taking off. And I'm lucky enough, I had a couple cousins that were like OG fashion influencers on Instagram. They've got like 5 and 6 million followers, some crazy. So I kind of knew that you could make money posting on Instagram. So I thought, why don't I try it too? And we just got a little bit lucky in that our blog, me and my ex-partner, took off. We started getting brands send us stuff, and it just kind of snowballed. It was really just one kind of big happy accident. And then I just realized I was good at it, kind of an accident. So it definitely wasn't like an on-purpose thing.
I have to be honest with you. I personally am not a social media person. I honestly hate posting every day, because you do basically have to like post your life, or at least fake life or something. That's what it feels like to me. That's always the impression that I've gotten. So I've never really personally felt like, oh, I have to post. And now with like LinkedIn, for instance, I kind of feel the pressure that I have to sort of become a bit of a LinkedIn bro, if I can put it that way. And it's like, I don't really know where to even begin. So I really want to pick your brain on personal branding, selfishly for me, honestly, just so I could get some sort of a direction of where I could possibly go. First of all, how did you identify the things about yourself that you wanted to project out into the world with your personal brand? Because of course I know that you have to be able to see yourself, look in the mirror and be like, you know what, these are the parts of myself that I really like, and this is what I want people to see when they look at my personal brand. So what did that process look like for you?
So I think for me, it's going to look a lot different than it will for you or most people. And this is kind of what I tell anyone that I work with, because I'm on the extreme end where I really don't care. I came to LinkedIn from Instagram, where on Instagram, everything was very crafted. So the brands that I worked with on Instagram, it wasn't personal at all. They would just send me clothes, and my job was to take pictures in them, write an article essentially for them, and that was it. So it was very much more disconnected from my own thoughts. So I never shared my thoughts on Instagram. That was about 4 years where it was just take great photos, put together some reels and stories, write a blog post, and that's it. When I came to LinkedIn, I just want to write whatever I want. So my goal was just, hey, I'm just going to share my thoughts. I'm going to share stupid pictures. I'm going to talk about pizza and bacon and camper vans and all this crazy stuff, and just do whatever I want. And so that was my approach to LinkedIn, was just, I'm actually not trying to portray anything except just my words and what I write. And for me as a writer, that worked really well, because no one was really doing that on LinkedIn at the time. It was very unique to obviously write a post about how much I hated bacon. Not many people are trying to specialize on that on LinkedIn. So I think I learned, to answer your question, by sharing a bunch of things and then realizing like, hey, this resonated. Let's go into this deeper. For me, that was unhinged. No one was doing it, like I said. So the more I got traction on hating bacon or talking about pizza or meme battles, I just did that more. And I think it's the same now for someone's personal brand. Really, the only way you learn is by risking posting and then figuring out like, oh, that was too far. Like maybe I shared a picture of me on my holiday from business in Greece, and like, I didn't like people knowing I was in Greece. So then don't do it again. But I think you learn by risking it and then seeing how it feels, and then you just adjust.
Okay, so that actually also reminds me, I know that you normally comment things or say things on LinkedIn to stop the scroll, as you say, and make people go, what? One of your recent posts also mentioned that, right? So I wonder, was this something that you learned by accident as well and just kind of went like, whoa, okay, so what I am saying right now is making people stop? Or did you actually go strategically into that? And then sort of tailor your comments and your posts to that.
It's a mix. It's
Okay.
always a mix. So I would say I naturally do that. Like my instinct is kind of sarcasm and humor. So if I'm scrolling through something, like that's the first thing that'll pop in my head, not, oh, that was a really insightful article, let me leave a meaningful reply. Like I'm always thinking sarcastically. And so when I realize like no one else is doing that, rightfully so, because they have employers looking over their shoulder, or they're really trying to get work on LinkedIn, so they think being professional is the way to do it. I figured out pretty quick my competitive advantage was that I don't care. I will comment anything at all, and because I'm willing to do that, I would stand out and get attention. And for me, I didn't matter if it was good or bad attention, because I know that I can take any attention and turn it into lead generation and traffic and followers. And so I think for me, that strategy works. I don't think it works for everybody. People that are more sensitive to critique or the haters, as you would say, should be more careful with their comments. For me, it worked very well because not many people do that.
Well, listen, I think any authentic comment is better than the GPT comments that we're seeing like scattered
Yes.
all across LinkedIn right now. My
bad.
God, they're like everywhere. Yeah, I can't even with all of them, honestly. It's so blatant. Actually, I think I saw like on Threads or something that you were talking to Matt Gray about this, where you commented. I think I have it right. I don't know. I did a bunch of research, so I'm not sure exactly where I saw this. But I know that you spoke to Matt Gray, or you said something where you said the GPT comments are just insane. I think he actually shared how blatant it is.
Sounds about right.
Okay. For the people that feel the need to go to ChatGPT, because I know you do a lot of prompts and stuff. For the people that feel the need to go to ChatGPT to post a comment, what advice would you give them to just be more authentic and lean into their own strength to stand out with their comments there, so that they don't necessarily post those GPT comments on there?
Great questions. I think it's understanding like what AI can help you with. I would take AI and focus more on the writing side, which is what I teach. I have a course that I just released showing people how to do that. AI can save you a bunch of time. Say you're spending 30 to 45 minutes writing a post. You can cut that way down to 10, 15 minutes within a couple weeks. To me, that's a very good use of AI, where obviously you still need to edit it yourself and add the human element, but that'll save you a decent amount of time if you're trying to be consistent on LinkedIn. But for comments, it's never gonna do the trick, because the time it will actually take you to generate a unique prompt and query to the question or the comment or the post, you may as well just leave an original comment. Like it's literally a waste of time. And I know these tools integrate into browsers and things, but I think people that use them don't understand how attention works, how attraction works, and how you actually connect and convert with people. So I just, again, they probably need to go use it and see that it doesn't work. Because if you use AI comments for a month, you're going to see like, hey, why is no one paying attention to my comments? Why aren't I getting leads from this? It's not helping me. So go use AI comments for a month. You're going to realize how useless they are, and then come back and, read my carousels where I show you how to actually leave good comments.
Exactly. I have to say, like, that to me is the biggest thing. I actually used one of your prompts the other day to make a LinkedIn post, right?
Oh, no.
And just tried it out. Like, specifically, I think it was one you recently shared, actually. It was in the description of one of your shorts that I saw.
Okay.
And it was great. I mean, obviously, again, I know I need to edit it and do my own thing, with that. But it gives you a really nice structure and idea of how many characters or words for each line you want to use, and kind of gives you the inspiration of where you want to go with that, right? And I thought it was great. However, I do have a small critique.
Awesome.
Okay, so basically, I've been seeing a lot of similar posts in the same sort of formats on LinkedIn, and you can kind of tell that people are using this type of prompt to create that. And
Mm,
what my fear is that if we all start doing that, it's going to start looking so much the same and it's just going to lead to even more stuffiness. So, even though you use that prompt and you get like those specific lines and the bullets and everything that it gives you, I wonder what is the things that we can do to make it even more unique for ourselves?
it's a great question. So I think the main thing is it's editing. You still need to learn how to edit. So like any prompt that you use from me, it's going to get you 60-70% of the way there,
Hmm.
but you need to go edit it and change it up. So I'm always changing up my formatting, the way the lists go, the hooks. I completely rewrite every AI prompt that I use and that I do. And that kind of separates people that are just learning how to use it from those that are at the top. Because you would never know that I use AI. No one did until I told them. I was using it in my content for about 6 months before I started actually teaching people how to use AI and talking about it. And nobody knew till I told them. So I think it's like you really need to focus on the editing. And even if it gives you that, like the prompt you use, that nice formatting output, I would go in and completely change it up and make it my own. It's just that I've learned how to do that super fast because I'm good at editing. So I would say still use them, just make them your own, learn how to edit, understand what a good post is. And unfortunately, that means you need to spend time on the platform to know what a good post is and what isn't.
Exactly. Luke, I do wonder, what have been some of the biggest mistakes that you've made in your personal brand, would you say? And can you give examples and really tell me about the changes that you made to improve?
Sure. So I think going back to an original question, I told people to really push the line to figure out what's comfortable for you and what isn't. I really pushed the line, so I've been banned 7 times on LinkedIn for a couple days at a time each time. And so I kind of, like I said, I went to the extreme of like, hey, I tested to see where the line was. I'm always a bit of a troll. That's the thing with comedy and humor is some of those guys, they push the line. And so I wouldn't say I regret them. It's just more I learned, okay, this is LinkedIn still. There's a line here and I had to accept it. So last year, early in the spring, I got banned for the 7th time and I took about a 3-month posting break before I decided to come back, and had some friends help me kind of get my head on straight and figure out the platform. So I think the biggest thing I learned in that phase was, understand the platform that you're on, understand like, yes, it would be great if we all had free speech on the internet. Unfortunately, we don't. And I just had to accept that. And I think once I accepted it and really studied the algorithm and took it for what it is, I was able to adjust and still maintain like a level of humanity in my brand. Whereas for a while I was really frustrated because I felt I can't express myself. I can't actually be the business that I want or communicate the way that I want. And so I would say that whole journey of just accepting, hey, I'm still fortunate enough to use this platform to make money and travel. And I have to accept the good and the bad with that. For me, it was tough. It took me 7 bans to kind of accept that, hey, like this year, LinkedIn is taking away organic reach. It's gotten really tough out there. Instead of getting upset about it, now I've more adjusted to, well, it is what it is. I'm still getting a ton of free reach. I'm still getting business from this platform. Instead of being angry, I just need to adjust and get better. And so I think that kind of mindset is the biggest thing I've learned from, I guess, my mistakes of getting banned, is just acceptance of what a platform is and what you can do about it, and just speed and getting on with it.
Yeah, I suppose it's basically like reading the room, right? So you kind of just have to make sure that you kind of fit into that. It does suck to be put into a box though, especially on the internet, when I think for people from our generation, we're used to the internet where you could basically put anything on the internet back when we were younger and nobody could do or say anything. So like now there's so many rules. I know that Laura, for instance, it's Laura, I think is the way that you pronounce
Yeah,
it, but like your friend and someone that you normally or sometimes have roasts with on YouTube, she also got banned recently, which
she did.
seemed like that was insane. So I have to ask, what does one have to do to get banned on LinkedIn? Like I've never even tried to taste those waters. So what was the thing that pushed it over the line? Are you comfortable saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's first disclaimer: most people will never have to worry about getting banned on LinkedIn.
Okay.
You're fine. So don't worry. Most of you are fine. Really, there's two ways. One is you blatantly say something racist or misogynistic or something very, very offensive that very blatantly is not cool with the platform. If someone reports that, then your account will be taken down. So that being said, that out of the way, the only way you're going to get banned is if you have enough people paying attention to your content that some people hate you and they report your stuff. And for me and Lara, we have big followings, 150K on LinkedIn. Both of us kind of have an outspoken style brand, me more so than her. But she has some enemies, and basically people can report you. And LinkedIn is an old school platform that doesn't really protect its creators as much, in my opinion. So it's easier to take people out and report their posts and accounts, unfortunately.
My God, that sounds like a lot of politics that I had no idea was even going on LinkedIn.
I know.
What the hell?
Like everything, there's gossip and a creator underbelly and rivals and people hating each other, and it's just...
I have to say, I was actually thinking about this yesterday because since I started these podcasts, I've been so lucky. We're not even at 50 episodes yet, and I've had like an immense privilege to talk with people like you and people with really huge followings and really amazing influencers and stuff. And I was just thinking about it last night. I was like, I feel like I've infiltrated like a little club almost that I didn't really realize existed. So like
That's
I'm
funny.
kind of trying to find my way a little bit here. So it's very interesting. And like hearing these kinds of things, I'm just like, wow, okay. I feel like I have a front row seats a little bit to these kinds of things. It's very interesting, I have to say.
I mean, it's human nature, isn't it? We like the drama,
exactly.
so that's how it goes.
Okay, so Luke, I want to talk to you a little bit more now about freelancing and agencies or even consultants and how to build your business from there, right? Because I know you have a ton of experience with this. I mean, this is basically your bread and butter, right? I mean, you do ghostwriting and stuff like that, and you sell your courses, of course. So we've kind of already gone over the evolution of your career from going from construction to Instagram to LinkedIn and all of that stuff. But I do wonder, what do you, if you had to put the progression that you've had into like a sentence, what would that be? Like, what do you feel was the most important things that really helped you evolve to where you are now?
I would say speed. Really, it's instinct and speed, because I think there's windows of time on social media especially where you can take advantage of a platform or a wave of momentum. And I think a lot of people that stopped in the 4 years that I've been doing this on LinkedIn, or even the 8 years since I started on Instagram, a lot of people have ideas, but they just take forever to execute. And I think the one thing that I'm good at is I'm fast. So when I feel something's changing, I don't really stop to question it or wonder why. I just adapt and I go for it before anyone else will. So I think that's paid off on LinkedIn, especially even with the AI craze and everything. I just adapt fast and I'll jump in and I'm not afraid to start over. So I think that's the one transferable skill I've had from construction to the Instagram to LinkedIn now. It's just being willing, I guess, to be a beginner, and just the speed of learning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. As a remote worker myself, of course, I've settled in Portugal now, but before I was living more of a nomadic life as well. And I know how hard it can be to kind of set up a network. I know you said previously that you're in Paraguay and you have chosen not to really interact too much with people there, because you really want to focus on your work. But I do want to say that I know that, especially in our younger years when we were traveling around a lot, I understand how hard that can be. And I feel like getting older, it's really hard to make connections and network and find jobs and all of that stuff. And of course, yes, things like social media platforms help us to find jobs and stuff like that. But I do wonder, how has networking or social media helped you to network with other digital nomads that maybe in turn then helped you get more jobs?
It's a good question. I do think it does get more challenging as you get older. I mean, most of my friends in construction are either married or settled down. They don't travel, they don't leave. Their jobs are in person, so they can't do what I do. And so I think shifting to Instagram and LinkedIn, you do end up meeting more people living kind of the same lifestyle. I mean, really, like I attribute my posting time on LinkedIn to going to a coffee shop because I do it almost every single day at the same time. You see the same people posting at the same time, and eventually, you say hi in their comments, you say hi in the DMs, and you make a connection and go from there. So I do think it makes it a heck of a lot easier to meet people. And it's kind of the same thing. Like if I wanted to meet people in Paraguay, there's meetups happening all the time, and I could go do it from fellow travelers that are trying to figure out their residency or set up their business here. So I do think having a presence on a platform like LinkedIn, or same thing on Instagram, I just started meeting with people when I built my business. And, without that, I think it would be definitely challenging. Pre social media, I don't know how people met people when they were on the road. I guess you'd have to go to a bar and actually talk to people and stuff.
Which sounds like a freaking nightmare to me, honestly. But
Yeah,
I
it seems
think
like a lot of work.
but maybe they were sending like telegrams or pigeons or something back then,
Who knows?
I have to say, I think, or how can I put this that it doesn't come across too bad? um, so Luke, I have to ask, and we don't have to include this, obviously, if you don't want to answer, but don't you get lonely?
I don't. I was in a relationship for 10 plus years, and so I think I'm not now. It didn't work out. Things ended. It was a great relationship. I don't regret it. And so because I'm recently single for the last 2 years, I just kind of enjoy being by myself. Maybe I'll get to a point where I'm sick of that. I don't think so, though. I think it's just my makeup. Like I've always enjoyed being independent and traveling and been by myself a lot. So I think it just depends on the way you're wired. Like I said, if I wanted to make more friends, I just move somewhere where they are.
Yeah.
Or I just go meet them. And I'm sure I'll feel differently in 3 months or 6 months, and I'll go do that. But because of this period of time, I had my goals for my course and my business. I just knew, like, in this window of time, I just need to be locked in.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of person that I can do that. I'm a bit obsessive, addictive, really. I basically get addicted to things. And so I went, this is my addiction right now. And just the way my brain works, I don't really need anything else. It can be dangerous, honestly. Sometimes I can go days and just forget what country I'm in because I'm locked in the same routine. Like I'll get up, I'll do my LinkedIn, I'll go eat at the same place, have the same coffee shop, same stroll, come back and do it again. And I did that for weeks. Kind of weird, but it worked for me. So
I have to tell you, I think it is definitely a thing that happens with people like us that have been working remotely for such a long time. You get so stuck into a routine that you don't realize that you're spending most of your time behind your computer, and it doesn't matter if you're in this beautiful country that everybody's like, oh my god, it's so exotic, I really want to go where you are and stuff. And I've found myself that I oftentimes get so sucked into work that I don't do anything else. I hardly get up to go eat or pee, like I literally get so sucked in, and I make coffee in the morning, I get behind my computer, and that's where I stay basically the entire day. And I've really had to teach myself to get a better routine because it was just getting so unhealthy after a while. Like I have to catch myself and be like, you know what, I need to get out of here and go for a walk with my dog, or get on the treadmill or something, just anything. I need to get away from here because you get so sucked into it and you just kind of feel like, okay, everything's getting the same. And you actually, for me at least, I felt like I was losing inspiration for my work because you're so sucked into, you're chronically online, it just doesn't work. So I have to get my ass back out in nature for myself at least. So I wonder, what are the things for you then, if there are any things that okay, I need to get out of here and go and do my own thing and be out somewhere where I enjoy something, a hike or whatever it is. What are those things for you?
It's a good question. I think again, I'm cyclical, I would say it. So I have no problem just allowing myself to be obsessed and unhealthy for a period of time just because it gets stuff done. So, for example, I'll still do 15,000 steps a day and my workouts. I just mix it into kind of my routine. Like I'll answer comments while I'm walking, or I'll go on the treadmill and do it, or like when I'm in kind of work mode, that's what I kind of stick in, you know. So I would say I'm probably the antithesis of like a healthy work-life balance, and that I basically have just gone extreme into work because that's what I enjoy, you know. And I think now that I just launched my course and I've actually just left the country, so I'm in Canada for a bit exploring. I really just go off of, hey, this is stale, I need to switch it up, and then I just go switch it up. So I would say I definitely don't have it figured out. I've just leaned into what works for me, which is like periods of intense obsession, and then basically like, oh fuck, what is my life? And then I go wander around for a bit, and then I do it again. There's my great advice for all of you.
Sage advice, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Be very obsessed.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, I do want to talk to you now about like outsourcing and stuff like that, right? So I know you must have outsourced some stuff, right? I know that you have like your little cartoon Luke that is really cool. It's like your little mascot that you use for all of your branding, and it's so adorable. I love it. So firstly, did you outsource for that, or did you create it yourself? What's the story behind that?
Yeah, so that was a last minute. I've only had it for about a month. There's a guy named Adam Fairhead from the UK. He does cartoons for creators on LinkedIn. So look him up. He's super cool. He basically sketches these and makes them himself. And he's got like a whole cartoon series and stuff. So I saw them and I was like, I was just getting tired of my face everywhere because like, so it's personal branding again. Like I post a ton of selfies, videos, carousels. I'm like, I'm just tired of myself. And so I need a cartoon. And so I found him online. I was like, I just need to get this done. So messaged him, kind of figured it out, and he pumped it out in time for my course, which was pretty cool. But yeah, no, I outsourced that. I do have a VA that works with me, that helps me with some of my clients. And other than that, I have outsourced writing in the past. I stopped doing that, like I said, just because I found that me and AI I enjoyed more than me managing humans for writing, at least. But I did in the past outsource writing and graphic design as well. I've worked with a few kind of graphic designers for the carousels and infographics that I work with my clients. And then same thing with video. There's a couple video people that I've used, and I've outsourced video too. But overall, I'm very DIY. Like I kind of enjoy learning everything. And so I've erred more on doing a lot myself versus kind of outsourcing, which again, can limit you scaling, but I've kept myself kind of active online for that reason, because I would get bored if I was just writing or if I was just the guy managing, whereas like I like learning landing pages and automation and sequences and kind of newsletter campaigns, and it keeps the brain fresh, and otherwise I'd just be bored with what I do and I'd probably quit.
Exactly. I have to say I relate to that. I'm also more of like a Jill of all trades when it comes to that. I really enjoy sinking my teeth into stuff and learning, you know, something. Even if I just learn it a little bit so that I know my way around it, it helps a lot with any of the other work that I've done before. And also, I think it opens you up to more opportunities later on where someone's like, hey, you know, I know you're writing, but we kind of need someone to design something to go with it. And you're like, hey, I can kind of do that. So
Agreed.
Yeah, so it's much better that way, I think, anyways. I do have to ask, Luke, I know that you are super big on AI, and I just want to get back to the little cartoon of you as well. I know a lot of people are using, you know, AI influencers or mascots, or it's becoming a thing. It's kind of becoming a thing now. They're not great, I'll be honest. I've seen them, and you can totally tell. But as with AI, or everything with AI, it's going to get better, for sure, right? So I wonder, will you make one for yourself if it does get to a point, do you think?
I mean, I'll probably try it. Why not try it? I've had people offer, but I mean, I don't personally see the hype yet. Just from having played around, like I just think it'll waste more of my time than help me currently.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, if it gets popular enough that people enjoy it, I'll throw it on my website, because why not? Like a chat
But
bot.
do you think that if you do, or if we do get to a place where we have AI that's our face, helping us write the words that we want to use, you know, all of this stuff, what the hell is going to be our use then? I mean, we're just going to be driving AIs then. I mean, isn't that kind of sad?
It is, but it's where we're going. I mean,
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
not the one driving it, but I agree. I think it's at what point will we just be sitting in our rooms, controlling a hologram of ourselves, living our lives out? I mean, those are the movies that we watched kind of growing up, right? Like kind of the Matrix situation. We're just sitting in an egg, controlling ourselves, running everywhere. But it
Yeah.
definitely seems like that's where we're going. Hopefully it doesn't happen in our lifetime, but I mean, for me, I just ride the trends. It's just, hey, if this is where it's going, unfortunately, it's not up to me to decide what's working and what's not. It's just, I'm a marketer, so if it works, I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
How far it goes, you know, do they limit it? Do they ban some of the stuff? I think all that's going to be very interesting to watch for sure.
Absolutely. If you were put in charge of putting up the perimeters around how we can use AI and how far it could go, what perimeters would you put up, just for interest's sake?
That's a great question. I'm a big fan of like the least amount of rules and regulations possible. I think the biggest thing I would do with all of it, I would have an age limit on stuff. Like I don't think anyone should be on social till they're 16.
Yeah.
So I would make people actually funny enough, use ID to have like they do, but actually I wouldn't allow anyone without ID to have any platform on anywhere on social. So YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I just think anyone under 16 can't handle what's on the internet. It's too gross. It's too wild. So that's the biggest regulation thing I do. And then beyond that, I basically go, hey, this is kind of open season. I do think I like the idea of adding kind of a disclaimer to any like visual AI, like this isn't a real person, this is AI. I think there should be disclaimers with anything visual. For writing, I think it's tough because now you're hearing reports of people like sending in like essays in school and their teacher saying it's AI written and it's not. How do you prove it? I don't know. It's all messy. I wouldn't want the job of regulating this stuff, I guess is my answer. It's a mess.
Yeah, it's a huge thing, I have to say. I think it's tough all around, but I do agree with you for sure on the 16 age limit for social media. I feel so sad for kids these days that they're on Instagram and TikTok and stuff at the age of like 7, 8, 9, and that's just their lives, and they're doing these little dances and all of that. I just find it so disgusting. I really do. I think it's so gross.
I do too.
I want them to go out and climb a tree and use their imagination like we used to. I sound so old. Oh my God.
I do
But
too.
I just,
I'm like,
you know,
I don't
sound
want to
like
be that person, but I feel the same. It's just I grew up playing hockey on the street. I just got back to Canada, like I said. You walk around, there's no kids playing hockey outside. Like we were outside all the time. They're just sitting on the phones and TV. And I just think you don't learn how to think. That's the problem. Is like when you're 16 or older, you can start creating a business on social if you've been taught how to think as a kid. And I think that's the problem is we just got an army of mindless drones being taught by the government and not by their parents. And like that's a scary thought for society. We won't get into all that stuff, but I think that's the bigger problem is like, hey, social is great when you have a use case. When you show up like I do, like I'm using this to make money so I can travel, so I can work remotely, so I can have more freedom. Fine. But if you're just a consumer of social and you learn how to be a consumer at 8 years old, 9 years old, the stuff you're being taught is just fucking horrible. Like I would not want my kid being raised on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram.
No. And you know what worries me the most about that, sorry, we're completely going off topic, but what worries me the most about that is the fact that the things that I believe drive our creativity to create better things, to create jobs, to create art, to create words, anything really, has to come from our imaginations. And if you're not being taught how to be by yourself in a room and figure it out and play with your toys and have this imaginary world, where the hell is your own unique creativity going to come from if you've been online and being told what to think, what's creative, what's in right now? You know, it's just a dead end road. And that's why, I mean, I feel like movies and pop songs and stuff these days, there's just no soul in them because I don't think people are as creative as they used to be.
Hey, we sound old, but I agree.
We sound old. Yeah, that's anyway.
Millennial.
That's okay. Well, I am definitely getting older, so it is what it is,
I
you
am
know.
too.
Okay, so getting back to outsourcing, Luke.
Yep.
I wonder what was the moment that you realized that you needed additional help, you know, when it comes to outsourcing services for your or to take your career to the next level, would you say?
So I think for me, I hit a certain income bracket where it was I can't physically do anymore. I can't charge anymore. That's the thing. I started like raising my prices to deal with kind of volume. And then I got to a point where I was at the top of kind of what you can kind of realistically charge in ghostwriting on LinkedIn. And I couldn't just increase my prices because it was too far. And then at that point, it's like, well, you need to hire to make up for volume. And so that's when I kind of started trying things. Before that, I did everything myself, the Photoshop, video editing, blog post writing. Like I said, I'm DIY, so I would just do everything. When I got to that point, I started outsourcing the graphic design, outsourcing some writing, outsourcing some video. And then again, I realized like, I don't actually enjoy this. I was becoming a coordinator instead of a creator. And I'm actually just better at writing and creating. So through that whole process, I guess you could say it's not like I used it to further my career. I experimented with scaling and hiring and outsourcing and realized like I actually don't enjoy kind of managing that. You know, I much prefer just doing the work. And so I scaled down and now I'm focused just on kind of working with less people, but at a higher price point and a higher quality point.
Yeah. I wonder, Luke, what is the biggest differences in the hiring process, would you say, from your experience across various industries, like, you know, data analytics or technology or marketing or anything like that?
Yeah, I think for me, it would be different than bigger companies. Since I'm a freelancer, essentially, or a solopreneur, I kind of hired through scouting. So I didn't really put up like job postings or like the normal way you did it. I would just watch other people kind of on the platform and try and find someone I thought would be a good fit for kind of the way that I do things, which is kind of how I've done this. I did the same thing in construction. I didn't really post job board things. I would just like look for people and then offer them a job. So I know that's not how you can you do it if you scale or you're a bigger company, but for me, that's how I found people, was just being on platform and talking to them enough and then just offering them a job. So again, no real science to it. I would say my VA has worked out very well for me. He's been with me 3 years. So I'm glad that I found him through that method. But I think like for marketing, like you need to see someone in action. That's why I did it that way. So I would never go through the traditional way to hire for copywriting, for example. I would want to see what's your LinkedIn account, what's your Twitter account, like where are your words, can you grow an account? And so I think for marketing, I would say that too, like, hey, where's your proof of concept? Same thing with SEO. Like, I don't know, I'm way more on the solopreneur entrepreneur side. Like, I want to see your projects. I want to see that you've actually done shit, versus some resume or, credentials. Like, I could care less about.
I think more and more people are starting to think like you when it comes to, hiring people and stuff like that. And to people like me, that sounds like a nightmare because I hate putting myself online.
Yes,
I look great on paper, but I hate having to put myself online. So I have to learn how to do that. I'm still navigating. I might hit you up for some tips or even think about joining your course, honestly.
That's the problem with people like me, though. Like, that's how I think, right? Like, I almost can't fathom that someone wouldn't do that, and I forget. But then you miss people too. That's the thing. Like, I'll miss like a good talented hire because they're not posting anymore. So
yeah, I think there are a lot of people. Well, at least I know a lot of people that feel that way. That's just like, oh god, no, I have to like spend hours like posting and this and that, and it's a job. It really is. It's a job. So after like your day job, it's like you have to do this, and you maybe have other side hustles that you want to get to. It's a mission. I'm telling you. It's
right.
You already know.
I forget, but there was a startup that I was with called Cloud App at the time. It was the biggest startup I've been a part of. And I figured this out the hard way because my job was to get everyone that was an employee to post. So we started off with an incentive program. So of course, more people did it. as soon as the incentives were gone, like, no one did it. None of them wanted to post. I'm like, what do you mean this will help your career? I don't understand. So for me, it was like, I just couldn't fathom, like, why won't you put in a half an hour a day that it will give you better opportunities? I just don't understand it, but maybe I need to understand it.
Yeah. I mean, no, your way of looking at it and thinking about it is right.
Yeah.
You are right. It's people like me that need to just get over it and do it already. That's all.
I mean, look, this startup, they laid off like 60% of their employees 6 months later, and 2 of the people that were part of the program got hired and to different companies before the layoffs happened because they started posting content. The other ones that didn't, they didn't because they didn't build their personal brand. So it's like, I use that story because I really think in this current market as well, like, no one's safe. We've seen Google lay people off, and all the big tech companies. So I think even the average employee now, they need to think about protecting themselves and their career. And you can do that with a half an hour a day. You really can. Like, will you grow like me? No, but half an hour a day can go a long way. And what is that? That's your lunch break. Just instead of eating a sandwich, just go post on LinkedIn.
Exactly. And the thing that scares me the most about the Google layoffs and everything that happened is now we've got a whole bunch of people from Google that are looking for jobs. Like,
Google.
Yeah. How the hell are us average people supposed to compete with that? Like,
well, I know, because the ex-Google in their bio,
yeah,
I mean, people love that.
Google, I mean, shit, it's wild out here. Okay, so I want to flip this conversation around a little bit, and
sure.
I know that people outsource work to you, right? So you, as the service provider or the consultant or the ghostwriter, as your agency, I want to know, what are the biggest mistakes that you've seen businesses make when outsourcing agencies?
It's a great question. So there's a few. I think number one would be expecting results really quickly. I think most people in my position promise ROI and return, and so they'll give projections like, hey, this is your follower projection for the 6 months, here's the ROI you can expect. And the problem with organic, so if you're hiring someone like me to do organic inbound marketing on a LinkedIn or a Twitter or whatever, it's not like SEO or paid ads, or like, it's very hard to actually predict the ROI you're going to get from it. So it's hard to measure. So that's the thing, is I think most businesses that are outsourcing have an unrealistic expectation of results, because marketers like me know they have to give that to make most of the sales. So like, I never do that. So I converted less in the beginning because of that, because I wasn't willing to give those projections. And so I think these companies kind of need to understand how organic works and how inbound works, and have realistic expectations when they hire somebody. And I think most of the time they fall for the person that promises the best results, that has one case study that they make look amazing, that's often manufactured, and then they get disappointed, And so I think what I would say is, you need to actually look at the person's case studies, look at the results and everything, but look at what they're promising you. Because if they're promising you a lot, for me, that's red flags in inbound marketing and organic marketing, because the algorithms change so much. Like there's no way you can accurately project how many followers you're going to get from working with me, or the ROI. You actually just have to believe in, hey, do I believe in this company I'm hiring? Has this person been in the game for a long time? Do I like the client results they have? And are they selling me the long term or the short term? Because if they're selling you a short term return, they're most likely just trying to make a sale, because inbound doesn't work fast.
Exactly. So in that case then, Luke, from your experience, what would you say are the specific questions that businesses should be asking consultants or ghostwriting agencies before they actually hire them, so that they get the right fit?
Great question. So number one would be, who's writing my content? Most of the time they'll pick an influencer like me and think that I'm writing the content. I do, because I still enjoy being in the business. Most are not writing their content. They're paying someone else to write for them. So I'd want to know, how involved are you that I'm talking to in your business? Are you writing? Who's writing the stuff? Like, is some intern that's just started yesterday? Who's actually writing for me? So that's question number one. Question number 2, obviously, is the AI question. Do you use AI? How often? What's your process for making sure that the AI quality is good? Those 2 things and how that person answers it will kind of give you a clue with how good they are. Beyond that, a lot of it's just instinct. Like, you can ask for case studies, but again, case studies can be manufactured. So for me, I start with those 2 and I really kind of feel out the person's answer and go from there. And then I look at, like I said, what they promise, because I think a lot of this stuff, unfortunately, with marketing, we're really good at selling results or selling case studies or kind of BSing stuff. Like, that's what marketers are good at. You kind of have to get a feel for someone, I think, in a conversation to really move forward with them, and that's just people skills. I think it's hard to teach that.
Yeah, exactly. I also saw another podcast that you did where you said that all great marketers are master manipulators as well. And that just, I have to say, I went like, ooh, when I heard that.
Unfortunately, it's true. Unfortunately, it's just a marketer's brain. Like, it's a constant battle. Like, you essentially, like, I'm paid to make people do stuff. Like, my job is to make you do something. That's any great marketer. Like, I need you to read my words and make a purchase, or I need you to read my words and follow my client. And when you look at it in a harsh way, it's just, look, my job is to make you do stuff. However I get you to do it, that's a personal ethical choice, and that depends on the company you're with, platform that you're on, and what you're comfortable with. But essentially that's marketing. It really is, how do we manipulate people at scale to get them to do what we want without them knowing that we're doing it?
No, I agree. It was the first time that I've ever heard someone actually say it.
So, that's me.
Like, say it out loud,
Yeah. I mean, I think when you just say it, it's kind of freeing in a way. Like, that's just what I do. Like, look, this is what it is. Like, you don't have to like it, but that's marketing. Like, you're being marketed to all the time.
Yeah, exactly. On that note, though, as we start to wrap up now, I only have like 2 more questions for you, or 2 more talking points.
Sure.
If you could make one marketing tactic illegal, what would it be?
Yeah, it'd be easy. That would be podding on social media. So using engagement pods.
What does that mean exactly? Can you tell me?
Sure. So essentially on, for example, a LinkedIn or a Twitter, there are people using massive WhatsApp groups where they share a post with another person and then they like and comment on that to artificially blow up their engagement on the content and reach more people. So people do this at scale. There's actual platforms where you can pay money to get people to like and comment on your posts at scale as well. And this has been going on since the beginning of social. The problem is all the big accounts on platforms do this. All the CEOs do this. They hire an agency, and there's so much of the game that is manufactured and fake and artificial, and a lot of the influencers you love do this. Same thing on YouTube. You can buy thousands of views, and the best know how to do it to get around the algorithms. So if I were to outsource it, if I were to outlaw something, it would be all the fake engagement on social, so we can actually see who's good at what they do and who isn't. Because right now, there's honestly no way of knowing. And you can't really prove it. That's the problem. Is like I know because I've got a friend who works on the panels. So how some of these things work, you can literally go to a website right now and you can buy 1,000 LinkedIn likes to be sent to your post from an actual panel on the internet. Same thing on Instagram, YouTube. You can buy 1 million views right now if you want to spend the money. And I have a friend that used to run these panels, and he would send me, back in the day on Instagram, he'd laugh, you're not supposed to do this, but he would send me screenshots of who was buying followers and views and likes, and tons of big influencers and celebrities that, all buying big stuff. So for me, I'd outlaw all that because it bugs me. And the problem is on LinkedIn, I know, again, talking about the small click circles and gossipy worlds, I know who's doing it. And getting away with it. And so I would love to see them at the engagement they're actually at, because it would make me laugh.
Like, I did not know that was happening. I know that you can buy bots or something, but you can totally tell when that's being done. I didn't realize there were actual groups of human beings that are doing that. You see, this is why I don't do social media. I had no idea. I've been living under a rock.
the best at doing it are very good at it. You don't know. Like you would be surprised at some of the accounts doing it, because they've mastered, like most people write it off like, oh, I'll be able to tell when someone's cheating engagement or they're using bots. You can't. The very best know exactly what they're doing, and they know how to make it look real. And it sucks for me, because I wish that I know how to do it all, because if I wouldn't be a good marketer if I didn't know what people are doing and how they're cheating the system and all that. But I can't, because it bugs my conscience. So it actually, like, it bothers me, because I wish that my conscience was dark enough that I could, because I'd have such a bigger account.
No,
and it works. The problem is you can't just say like this stuff doesn't work. It works when you have great content, when you actually also spend real time on the platform and you really do network with people, and then you pour on the kind of cheating the system, gamifying stuff. It really works well, and that's the problem with it. That's why people do it. So yeah, there's a whole dark underbelly to social media. It's part of why, like, I'm grateful for it, but I also hate it at the same time, because it's honestly a massive fake game, and most people have no idea.
Jesus, yeah, my mind is blown. Honestly, I had no idea. That's so unethical.
It is.
It's crazy.
And people accuse me of it. That's the funny thing, is I get accused of cheating all the time. I don't. But people that become aware of it, they freak out, and then they think everyone's cheating. The thing is, everyone's not cheating. There are certain things you can kind of pay attention to realize. Like, for example, I go live on LinkedIn, and when I do, I have a ton of people show up that enjoy my brand, and then they know me and they comment back and forth. Like, you'll notice certain people with thousands and thousands and millions of followers, they never go live, because you can't hack live streams. So that's kind of one way you can see, is like, hey, this person's never on a podcast, they're never live. Why? Because you can go see, like, does anyone actually care about this person? Do they go watch this podcast episode? Do they leave comments? Do they show up for these live streams? Do they do events in person? Do people show up? And you start to see, like, oh, there's certain people that have thousands and thousands of followers and millions of followers, but I never see them do any of this stuff. Well, there's probably some red flags there.
That's insane. That's really insane. I'm definitely gonna hyper focus on this next for sure. So Luke, I just one more question. Sorry, I know we're kind of running out of time now, but I did want to ask you, if there was one thing that you wish more people knew about personal branding, what would it be?
I think that it doesn't have to be such a big deal. I think a lot of people aren't getting started because they feel overwhelmed, kind of like what you said. And I think personal branding can be really simple. It can be, a half an hour a day on a LinkedIn where you just say hello to a few people and comment on a couple posts. Like, I just think it's easier to get started than anyone thinks. And I wish more people would just be willing to give that a try and know that it doesn't have to be what anyone else makes it. It can be your own thing, and it can benefit your career. And I think a lot of people don't get started because they see all the hate that goes towards people that post or influencers or whatever, and so they miss out on opportunity because of that.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it's just I have absolutely no idea what to even put up on there, but I 100% agree. I think that if you just kind of just start putting yourself out there, and I think with everything, of course, it's like a trial and error, right? So you kind of have to test and see what works for you, what it is that people like to see you say, or whatever, and just kind of find your own unique niche, right?
Definitely. And I mean, there's things that you can join to help you. Like my course isn't really for that. It does teach you to write with AI and understand LinkedIn. My friend Lara has a really good community that she runs that helps people start from nothing and learn personal branding. So that could be something worth checking out. But I guess it's kind of seeing the value in it too. Like that's the thing. You kind of have to see this, like, hey, will this benefit my career if I'm not an entrepreneur? If I am an entrepreneur, obviously, then it's easy to see the benefit of a LinkedIn or posting online. But I also think anyone with a normal job, it's just kind of seeing, like, hey, like, there is value in this. It's looking at it more like a resume extension.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Well, Luke, that is all I have for us today. Thank you so much again for joining me. This has been really fun. Actually, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. It's nice chatting.
And that's a wrap on our episode with Luke Matthews. If your project could benefit from a top-tier digital agency's expertise, then look no further than DesignRush.com/marketplace. Our carefully curated selection of agencies is equipped to help you navigate the digital world, from web design to marketing, and bring your vision to life. Remember to like and subscribe for more engaging chats with industry leaders. Again, I'm your host, Bianca Mayer. Stay curious and join us for the next episode.